one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
This is Thomas from the Methadone Clinic. We've scheduled a short meeting for you tonight. We are at Northwest 184th Street, apartment 108. And don't worry. We know discretion is of importance to our clients.
You have reached Hotline Miami. The following is a demonstration of our services. Your call may be recorded for quality purposes. If interested in the foundation of our organization, press 1 to familiarize yourself with Hotline Network. Press 2 for member participation. Press 3 for a brief explanation of our goals. Press 4 to inspect our methodology. Press 5 and to speak directly with our support team. Press 6. You have pressed 1. Our foundation.
Let's go back to about 11 years ago. This is Jonathan Soderstrom, a Swedish indie game developer. Jonathan was a man with passion, but his creations, they never really blew up. Kinda like those YouTube videos that are masterpieces with 8 views. Jonathan kept coming up with new concepts and posted them online, which did build up some hype, but it never really went anywhere. Which was fine with him. He never really thought of video game design as a career. I mean, how could he ever think that? His only source of income was just a Patreon account that apparently paid him about $1,000 monthly, which is absolutely nothing, but at least it stopped them from quitting. Jonathan's games would eventually get him an interview for a Swedish gaming magazine as a developer. One of the subscribers of the magazine, Dennis Sweden, was a man with musical talent that was looking for modern ways to advertise his band, 𝚑𝚊𝚘𝚎. Dennis gave Jonathan a call asking for a collab. The two worked together on a music video for Dennis and made a damn good team. So the 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚗 games was born, and they tried their hand at a bigger project, which was a game called Life, Death Island. It never saw the light of the day though, apparently it was too overwhelming for the duo. But hey, the boys had fun collaborating and wanted more. Dennis went through every prototype Jonathan has worked on and came across a top-down shooter that he scrapped because of enemy pathfinding issues. The prototype was named Super Carnage. Now, ever since Dennis was a kid, he always had a thing for top-down shooters. One of his favorite games was Chaos Engine. You guys watching this don't remember it. I'm an adult and I don't remember it either. I wasn't even born when it came out. Dennis insisted that Super Carnage has a lot of potential. His scope was very small though. He wasn't looking for a groundbreaking title, but more like a generic arcade game that could scoop some coins. But lucky for them, Vlambeer, another indie studio, got their hands on Super Carnage demo and pitched it to Devolver Digital, a publisher company. They contacted the duo and asked them if they can expand the game to a much bigger scale. So Jonathan and Dennis took inspiration from the movie Drive and the Cocaine Cowboys documentary, and after implementing them, this turned to this. Just another sign that literally meme movies are always good for you. Jonathan and Dennis were a little bit scared because they believe the publisher is gonna own everything they make. Kinda like that sweet copyright claim on that one video you spent the entire last month working on. But one of the Devolver's founders, Nigel Lowry, assured them that they can own everything and Devolver just wants to publish cool games and get them out there. Dennis told them, "Damn bro, I didn't know you were chill like that," and they signed a contract, which led to the birth of Hotline Miami.
You have pressed 2 facilities of the Hotline Network.
Hotline Miami stole the gaming spotlight like a jet.
Watch your jet, bro. Watch your jet!
Back when this thing came out, I was about 10 and didn't even have a PC. And I come from a country that still calls every gaming console an Atari. But still, I was hearing all about this thing. I would say I'm late to the party since I didn't have much interest in the franchise and really just discovered the whole thing from Payday 2. but I don't really think I am. Hotline Miami's fanbase seem to be loyal as hell, trying to appreciate anything that will keep their beloved little psychopath relevant. Hotline Miami is a fast-paced top-down shooter with amazing soundtracks and a thirst for violence. When I say violence, I'm not talking about blowing up 8-bit spaceships. I'm talking about blasting brains, crushing skulls, kidnapping women, and looking cool while doing it. The simple gameplay and beautiful art style will easily hook the player. I ended up doing 4 runs the first time I launched Hotline Miami. I don't know how to describe it, but the combination of short run time and fast gameplay made me want to speedrun this game so bad. The terrible AI of the enemies makes the player feel so much more powerful than he is, considering you die with 1 hit. Fun fact, the terrible AI was a design choice. 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚑𝚑 explains how the priority was to keep the flow of the levels going with combos, so to let the player keep killing again and again, they intentionally did not develop the AI to the level of awareness that could stop the player easily. That's very convenient, especially because you guys had trouble with enemy pathfinding before. You receive phone calls with encrypted messages asking for a babysitter, technician, or mechanic, when in reality all they need is a man who can put up a bloodshed. Some people need to be taken care of, and you happen to be the perfect guy for the job. Drive up to the location, put on an animal mask, and satisfy your customers. As simple as that. It feels good, doesn't it? Chaining combos with clean hits, punching, throwing, shooting without thinking about the consequences. But do you ever just stop and think, why am I doing any of this?
You have pressed 3. Member participation policies.
Miami, Florida, 1980s. Nothing could send you back there like drugs, blood, and money. In the middle of this chaos, we follow the journey of 2 men. Neither of them has a name, but you'll soon find out that their names don't even matter. The community likes to call the first one 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚗 because of his Letterman jacket. So I guess if you come across someone who's wearing shoes, you would just call them shoes. 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚗 is a silent, lonely war veteran who suffers from major PTSD with a burning hatred for Russians. Why? We don't know yet. What we do know is that his feelings led him to become a member of 50 Blessings, an organization portraying themselves as a peaceful group that doesn't like the Russo-American coalition, which is an alliance that formed between USA and Russia after a brutal war that gave the Russian mob influence in America. 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚗 isn't exactly in the best state of mind and has these meetings with 3 anonymous figures. Don 1, the horse, who's loving and cares for 𝚑𝚘𝚗's struggles, Rasmus, the owl with a hostile attitude towards 𝚑𝚘𝚗, and Richard, the chicken, who makes 𝚑𝚘𝚗 question his motives and does his best to make 𝚑𝚘𝚗 quote-unquote remember. The conversations with these figures are very vague, and no matter how hard you try, you won't ever figure out why any of these meetings is happening. Almost every dialogue they say is nonsense to a new player, but it does portray 𝚑𝚘𝚗's mental state. On April 3rd, 1989, 𝚑𝚘𝚗 receives a phone call from an unknown number.
You have 1 new message.
Hi, this is Tim from the bakery. The cookies that you ordered should be delivered by now. A list of ingredients is included. Make sure that you read them carefully.
Quite a strange call, since you don't remember ordering any cookies. In the supposed cookie package, 𝚑𝚘𝚗 finds a chicken mask with a note, claiming 𝚑𝚘𝚗 is being watched and his target is a briefcase at the discussed location, which is a Russian mobster safe house. 𝚑𝚘𝚗, being the man of the hour, pulls up to the location, ready to wipe out a f***ing bloodline without asking any questions. I mean, quite literally, he does not talk in the entire game. His hatred for Russians really helps. He feels nothing while committing mass genocide. 𝚑𝚘𝚗 does as instructed, and after having his fun with Russians, hides the briefcase in a dumpster. But then he's confronted by a hobo who doesn't let him leave. 𝚑𝚘𝚗 is forced to send the man on his way. After that, he throws up. 𝚑𝚘𝚗 vomiting for killing the hobo is strange to the players, because from the beginning, they have seen a man who doesn't talk, is interrogated by people with animal masks, and has no reaction to spilling someone's brain all over the carpet. So pretty much anyone would assume he's completely deranged. Now I agree that he may not be perfectly sane, but his disgust over killing a man he believes is innocent shows that he is conscious about what he is doing and why he is doing it. Afterwards, 𝚑𝚘𝚗 pays a visit to a nearby 7-Eleven for a midnight snack snack, where he meets his only friend. People like to call him Beard, I guess because he has a beard. Beard seems to be the only friendly face in Jacket's life. After a short conversation, he tells Jacket his snack is on the house. Jacket returns to his apartment after a long workday. The cycle continues for a while. Jacket wakes up, receives various phone calls, drives up to the locations, puts on an animal mask and kills some Russian mobsters. But with a strange twist. Every time that Jacket needs to take a break, he decides to cheer himself up by going to a VHS store, bar, pizzeria, or even the 7-Eleven he visited earlier. Beard seems to be working in every single one of these locations. I guess rent is pretty high in Miami. Jokes aside, this obviously isn't normal and could be related to Jacket's mental state. April 25th, after wiping out another Russian generation off the planet and even crushing someone's skull in a unique way, Jacket finds a kidnapped girl that looks awful. It's obvious she was to the point where she just asks Jacket to get it over with without any fear. Jacket once again cannot bring himself to hurt someone who isn't in any way related to the Russian mob and takes her back to his own house. Throughout the game, she gets more and more comfortable. She cleans the house, cooks homemade meals, even starts romance with Jacket. Now, she is referred to as the girlfriend. The naming system of these characters is straight out of a kindergarten. Jacket starts to follow up on the news regarding his actions, gathering newspapers that cover his assaults. Again, backing up the fact that Jacket does have his motives for his murders. Or maybe he just reads newspapers. I mean, I guess people have to do something else other than killing each other in Miami. Jacket's relationship doesn't stop him from his goals. It's true that he has something to lose now, which means he might want to be a little bit more careful, but he just really hates Russians. Jacket goes back to see his counselors in animal masks. Don Juan appears worried about Jacket's safety. Rasmus wants him gone, but Richard, he thinks Jacket is starting to quote-unquote remember. So he decides to give him a hand by asking Jacket 4 questions.
Do you like hurting other people? Who are leaving messages on your answering machine? Where are you right now? Why are we having this conversation?
You probably expect to find the answers to these questions in the game, but trust me, it's very easy to miss them. Jacket's daily routine continues as usual. Answer calls, drive to the location, and kill Russians. In one of his runs, he finds a suspicious looking janitor with a smug on his face, cleaning out his apartment. Throughout the shootout, he finds another suspicious looking janitor. It's almost as if they're keeping an eye on him. These 2 janitors are actually based on the devs, Jonathan and Dennis. Finally, in the middle of one of his killing sprees, he gets a second call informing him of a prank caller at the phone home company, the communication center of Miami. Jacket, who assumes he was just led to another Russian hideout, drives to phone home and finds staff members torn to pieces on the ground. They aren't even Russians. He makes it to the CEO office and is confronted by the second protagonist of this story. The community likes to call him Biker, and it's time to hear the story from his perspective. Biker's story is shorter than Jacket's, but it's just as important. He's a lot more stable than Jacket. He doesn't attend a book club with people wearing animal masks or lift women he finds in random buildings. Biker even talks. Just like Jacket, he is also a subscriber of 50 Blessings and has been receiving strange phone calls. His difference with Jacket is that Biker isn't interested in the missions he's assigned to and just wants out. So he begins searching for the source of the phone calls to put an end to all of it. May 13th, 1989. Biker's journey begins in the middle of interrogating this guy, which I'll refer to as Scar, since I think that's how the naming system of this fanbase works. Scar tells on some guy in a Chinese restaurant downtown named the Blue Dragon that might know how Biker can find his way out of this mess. Biker pulls up to the place, chops people to death, and gets his hands on this guy, which I'll refer to as Glasses, and gets him to spill the beans on the operator behind the strange messages. Glasses tells Biker that he doesn't really know who's calling the shots, but whoever it is, they are using Phone Home to sweep up their trails. If Biker manages to access the Phone Home admin system, he may be able to find their location. 2 days later, Biker receives another phone call.
You have one new message.
Hello, it's Mark from the Miami drop-off. It looks like you have missed your delivery last night. We've got another parcel for you today. Please drop it off at Southwest 107th Place. Our clients will not tolerate further delays.
𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚗 had bailed on his previous assignment, and it doesn't seem like the operators have taken it well. He decides to do his homework to avoid drawing more attention towards himself and to buy some time. A week later, 𝚑𝚘𝚗 is fully prepared. Arriving at phone home, you don't really have to kill anyone here. None of these workers will even try to attack you, but I did it anyways. I wanted it to line up with 𝚑𝚘𝚗's perspective. 𝚑𝚘𝚗 makes it to the management, kills the CEO and accesses his computer. Sure enough, he does locate the source of the phone calls, North 87th place, but before he can leave, 𝚑𝚘𝚗 walks in. What happened in this room is the real mystery of Hotline Miami. We see this battle from perspectives of both characters, and each of them think they won. It really comes down to which one of them you route for. If you follow the story from 𝚑𝚘𝚗's perspective, 𝚑𝚘𝚗 threatens to kill him as soon as he walks in, but 𝚑𝚘𝚗 comes out on top, smashes 𝚑𝚘𝚗's head, and drives away as if he just finished another day of honest work. He stops to pay another visit to his animal friends. Dawn 1 seems to be worried about 𝚑𝚘𝚗's well-being. She thinks 𝚑𝚘𝚗 appears sick. Rasmus is so infuriated with 𝚑𝚘𝚗 that he decides to leave. Richard, on the other hand, asks 𝚑𝚘𝚗 if he had figured out what he asked him last time, and the next time that they meet will be the last. Instead of questions, he presents 3 predictions to 𝚑𝚘𝚗.
Someone you know is not who you think he is. Something will soon be taken from you. On July 21st, you will wake up in a bigger house.
Just like his questions, his predictions are also incredibly difficult to solve. 𝚑𝚘𝚗 continues answering the strange phone calls and killing Russians. As usual, he decides to pay his friend Beard another visit, only to find the dead body of the biker in his store. Beard tells 𝚑𝚘𝚗 that everything he's going through, every action he has taken, never happened. Even this conversation right now is not happening. Everything starts to fall apart for 𝚑𝚘𝚗. In the upcoming days, he struggles to find Beard in any of the usual locations. Anywhere he goes, he's confronted by this guy. Who is he? We don't know yet, but whoever he is, he's not very friendly towards 𝚑𝚘𝚗.
Bruce, it's been 5 years. You still owe me $16. Fuck off.
𝚑𝚘𝚗 begins to lose his grip on reality. He even starts hallucinating talking Russian corpses everywhere. Confused, 𝚑𝚘𝚗 would return home to his house, ran through, and his girlfriend did. Yeah, you know 𝚑𝚘𝚗, I think this one's on you, man. Maybe you should have spent more time with her than your friends with animal masks that don't even seem to like you much. In his living room, 𝚑𝚘𝚗 finds another masked assailant just like him, named Richter. The roles have been reversed, and this time, 𝚑𝚘𝚗 is the target. He is standing next to his own dead body. Faced by Richard, he gives the news to 𝚑𝚘𝚗 straight. He's all alone now. His only friend is gone, his girlfriend is shot dead, and his counselors are abandoning him. But before he leaves, he lets 𝚑𝚗𝚗 in on a little secret.
What you do from here on won't serve any purpose. You will never see the whole picture, and it's all your own fault.
July 21st, 𝚑𝚘𝚗 wakes up in a hospital, surrounded by the cops patrolling the area. Listening in to their conversations, he figures out that Richter is kept in custody at the station. 𝚑𝚘𝚗 sneaks out of the hospital, puts on some clothes, and shoots up an entire police station. Miami's police force is even more useless than Gotham's. Turns out, Richter is actually the replacement for Beard that 𝚑𝚘𝚗 keeps running into. I know what you're waiting for, but 𝚑𝚘𝚗 isn't here for revenge. He's here because he's looking for the Russian godfather. He's had enough and decided to finish Russians once and for all. Richter doesn't seem to know much about the location of the Russian mob HQ, but 𝚑𝚘𝚗 thinks otherwise. Richter spills out that he's just another victim of the strange phone calls, and his attack on 𝚑𝚘𝚗 was never anything personal. He thinks the police should have a file on the entire operation. At the end, he asks 𝚑𝚘𝚗 to spare his life, which leaves the choice to the player. He can either walk away or choke Richter to death. As far as I know, this choice doesn't actually change anything in the story. The sequel also shows that 𝚑𝚗𝚗 let him live canonically, but it's a nice addition anyway. Since 𝚑𝚗𝚗 never had anything against anyone not involved with Russian mob, and Richter, despite hurting 𝚑𝚗𝚗, isn't involved with them in any way. I killed him though. I finally get some bitches, and this is what you do! In the police file, 𝚑𝚗𝚗 pinpoints the location that could lead him to somewhere with intel on the Godfather's location. What is this building, you may ask? I don't know. Half the buildings of Hotline Miami are just generic buildings. I mean, there's a monster truck on display on the 2nd floor, so I guess it's a mall? It doesn't matter. The manager gives up the location of the Godfather, but 𝚑𝚗𝚗 kills him anyways, and he finally goes on to finish the job. He walks in, takes out the guards, and prepares for a classic showdown. There he is, the head of the Russian mob, the one behind it all. He sends his two pit panthers at 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚗𝚎. Of course, 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚗𝚎 takes him out like it's nothing. The boss sends his trusty right-hand assassin at 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚗𝚎, which he again takes out as if she was just a minor misunderstanding. And there it is, the final showdown. He unleashes a barrage of bullets towards 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚗𝚎. 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚗𝚎 shoots both of his arms, and the boss, in a split-second decision, takes his own life, preventing 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚗𝚎 from feeling relief. But he doesn't really seem to care. 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚗𝚎 isn't done yet. The real godfather of the Russian mob is waiting upstairs. Old and weak, he can't defend himself in any way. He asks 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚗𝚎 to do what he came to do. And he does. 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚗𝚎𝚗's journey is over. He walks up to the balcony, takes his mask off, smokes a cigarette, and throws away a picture. 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚗 can finally rest knowing he has accomplished his mission. But what if he never made it out of phone home? If you follow 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚗's perspective, he gives 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚗 a chance to leave, but you didn't really think he was gonna listen, did you? 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚗 takes out 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚗 without even trying, and goes on to finish the job. He traces the location he believes to be the source of these strange phone calls. He walks in and is immediately confronted by one of the janitors that was stalking 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚗 before. He runs away in a rush and climbs down to the sewers. 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚗 tries to access the main computer to find some information, but realizes he needs a password, so he gives up and chases the janitor down the sewer. The two janitors have the upper hand. They mock the biker for being so lost and confused. He may have figured out who was behind the phone calls, but he will never be able to figure out their reason and the truth behind all of this bloodshed. You get to ask them multiple questions, but don't even bother. They don't tell you anything. The player is then given a choice to either spare the janitors or, you know what, why bother? No one's gonna spare these two assholes anyway. Though for some reason the sequel reveals that the biker canonically doesn't kill them. Biker, not knowing if his actions had any consequence, leaves Miami for good to protect himself, bringing his journey to an end. You gotta be confused by these endings. They leave a lot of open holes without really any explanation. Why were people receiving strange phone calls? Why does 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚗𝚗 hate Russians? Who are the three masked figures that taunt him? Why did he hallucinate Beard? Why was him and his girlfriend shot by Richter? Did any of 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚗's missions actually happen? Who are the janitors? What was the picture 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚗 threw away? What was even the purpose of the biker in this story? The first time you play Hotline Miami, you will not understand this story. The second time you play Hotline Miami, you will not understand this story. Now, the third time you play Hotline Miami, you just give up and watch a YouTube video to explain this story for you. But if you look just a little bit closer, instead of just getting through levels, things start to slowly make sense.
You have pressed 4 goals of our organization.
To uncover the truth behind Hotline Miami, 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚗𝚗 and biker must work together. Throughout 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚗𝚗's missions, if you're paying attention, you can find these letters scattered around. Lining them up and solving the puzzle, you get the phrase "I was born in the USA." That happens to be the password to the janitor's computer, which I'm sure only 1% discovered and the rest just watched his guide. The biker can use the password to find out the truth behind the phone calls. I know you're a bit confused about how does biker know the password if 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚗𝚗 was the one collecting the letters. Biker says it was magic, but don't worry, we'll get on that soon enough. This time biker will have the upper hand, since the janitors can't hide or tell him anything he doesn't know and are forced to answer his questions. The two janitors are only the tip of the iceberg, the front of an organization called 50 Blessings, which 𝚑𝚘𝚗𝚗 and biker are both subscribers of. 50 Blessings thinks of itself as a patriotic organization that is against a coalition between USA and Russia and wants to reclaim their country. They conduct operations all over the country, not just Miami. The members are given a form which they fill with their personal information and sign that they're willing to die for the sake of their nation. Basically, 50 Blessings dislikes Russians. They get a bunch of people to sign up for their cause by tricking them, since they think they actually are signing for a newspaper subscription. Then orders them with strange phone calls to carry out what they have signed up for, and if they disagree, they'll face the consequences. Now you get to slowly see the whole picture. The majority of the game takes place in Jacket's coma. He's out cold in the hospital after being shot by Richter. In his head, he's trying to remember what led up to this point. This is why some of the details in Jacket's story don't line up with 𝚑𝚘𝚘's. For example, following Jacket's story, in the phone home fight, 𝚑𝚘𝚘 is immediately hostile towards Jacket, but from 𝚑𝚘𝚘's own perspective, he actually gives Jacket a chance to leave. This is either because Jacket is justifying fighting 𝚑𝚘𝚘 or just doesn't remember the events accurately. The three masked counselors each represent a figure in Jacket's life. 𝚑𝚘𝚘, based off of his girlfriend, is the voice of love. She's always concerned for Jacket. Rasmus, wearing a Russian mob uniform, is representing the lives Jacket has taken. And Richard, a replica of Jacket himself, is his own psyche trying to remember everything. The sequel reveals that Jacket hates Russians because his only friend and comrade, Beard, who he keeps hallucinating, was killed in the war by a nuclear bomb launched by Russia in San Francisco. And Jacket struggled to move on from his death, which is why he keeps hallucinating Beard everywhere he goes. Even the phrase "it's on the house" that Beard keeps telling Jacket is something he told him when he saved his life. And this is why Jacket signed up to 50 Blessings, to avenge Beard. Unlike 𝚑𝚘𝚘, he was perfectly aware of what was going to happen. The phone calls would lead him to Russians, which will make his job easier. He even followed orders that didn't really concern him for the sake of 50 Blessings, like stealing the briefcase, just so he can remain a member. The complete opposite of 𝚑𝚘𝚘, who didn't want to carry out hits and had no idea what was even going on. 𝚑𝚘𝚘 became a threat to 50 Blessings, which forced the organization to send a killer after him at phone home that happened to be Jacket. None of the two actually died at phone home battle. It's not clear which one of them came out on top, but whether it was Jacket, who thought he killed 𝚑𝚘𝚘 when he actually was still alive, or the 𝚑𝚘𝚘 who thought he finished off Jacket when in reality he underestimated him, what is for sure is that Jacket failed his mission to kill the 𝚑𝚘𝚘, and 50 Blessings sent Richter to kill Jacket. His girlfriend was killed because she was at home when Richter arrived. Richter was just another victim of 50 Blessings. Just like how Jacket received the call to kill the 𝚑𝚘𝚘, he also received the call to kill Jacket, and like Jacket, he also didn't succeed in his mission, and was arrested by the police. Now hold on a second. If Jacket never saw Richter's face before he was shot, and just remembered him with a rat mask, how did he see Richter's real face in the stores? Bet you didn't think of that, 𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚘, did you, huh? Richard telling Jacket that he will never see the full picture meant nothing to him. He never wanted to see the full picture. He didn't care who was behind the phone calls, all he wanted was to finish off Russians. But Richard, being his own psyche, is telling him that he can see the truth if he lets go of his rage, which he doesn't listen. He doesn't want to fall in line with reality. Even when Beard, his only friend, confronts him about his hallucinations, he excludes him from his story because he no longer fits in. Jacket survived the bullet but was in a coma for a while. In that coma, he found the answer to all of Richard's questions.
Do you like hurting other people?
Jacket enjoys hurting Russians.
Who are leaving messages on your answering machine?
50 Blessings is the one leaving the messages on his answering machine.
Where are you right now?
This entire meeting takes place in Jacket's head,
Why are we having this conversation?
so that Jacket can remember what led up to this point in his life. And as for Richard's predictions,
Someone you know is not who you think he is.
this is referring to Beard, which himself told us that none of our interactions with him is real.
Something will soon be taken from you.
Jacket's girlfriend was shot by Richter and taken from him.
On July 21st, you will wake up in a bigger house.
Jacket woke up exactly on July 21st in the hospital instead of his own house. Now that Jacket remembered everything, he snuck out of the hospital and went after Richter to get some answers. He located the Russian mob HQ and finished them off for good. In the sequel, we also learned that the picture he throws away is supposed to be a Polaroid he took with Beard back in the war, and this means he's trying to move on. While Jacket is going through his shenanigans, 𝚑𝚘𝚘 is trying to uncover the truth behind the phone calls. Despite being a 50 Blessings subscriber, he doesn't want to kill any more Russians. In the end, while he does manage to see the full picture, he can't really do anything to stop it. The two janitors don't matter, they're just operators and they'll most likely be replaced pretty soon. But for the sake of his own safety, 𝚑𝚘𝚘 leaves Miami for good. The story of Hotline Miami is a work of art. It follows two protagonists that cross paths and try to kill each other, but gets the player to like both of them, or even if they only like one of them, at least understand why both of them need to exist. Something The Last of Us 2, a game released 8 years later, couldn't get right, and ended up making the players hate Abby and love Ellie. Many people think that Jacket is supposed to be representing a darker side of the player, the part inside all of us that likes violence. Jacket and player both even get confronted by the game about their actions a couple of times. If we don't like violence, why don't we stop playing? Don't we understand what we're doing? We are killing so many people. But I disagree with all of this. First, this is a video game. There's a line between reality and fiction. If I kill these people behind my monitor, it doesn't mean I want to do it in real life, for the most part. Second, even if I did enjoy doing it, there isn't anything wrong with it. It doesn't mean I enjoy violence. I'm killing mobsters. These are scum who kill, assault, or steal from anyone they want. Why would I feel any regret for killing them? I'm doing this city a favor. And 3, I don't think Jacket is supposed to represent the player at all. While Jacket wants to stop Russians, the player doesn't care. They want to see the bigger picture. Jacket is a different entity that does his own thing, and the player is forced to just go along with everything he does to get to their own answers by collecting the letters around his levels. But I think the biker is actually supposed to represent the player. I even think this is the only reason this character exists. He's stable, isn't interested in the Russian mob, and tries to find answers the players were looking for. And if he fails, it's only because of the player's own laziness for skipping the letters. Biker is pretty much the reward for going through Jacket's story.
Can you go? You're making me very uncomfortable. Please leave.
This is why there isn't any explanation for how he knows the computer password when Jacket was the one collecting the letters. It was the player, and the biker is the player using what they could salvage from Jacket's story for their own goals. The battle between Jacket and biker could even resemble the clash between the player and the protagonist's goal. But honestly, this is only my take. Yours could be different, and I think the fact that anyone can come up with their own connection between gameplay and story is just fucking amazing.
You have pressed 5. Our techniques and methods.
What separates video games from movies? Exactly, gameplay. And Hotline Miami does not disappoint in gameplay. While the story tries to pull you away from being violent, the gameplay wants to reel you in. You get so many killing options that it feels like the game is just welcoming you to be violent. Hotline Miami isn't a practical game that needs much thinking. You can just go in and start blasting. From the beginning, the game teaches you that recklessness is avoided. There is no consequence to dying. You can just get up and do it all over again. Every time you die, nothing really stops, not even the music. It's as if your death is just a minor obstacle. Even the level grading system doesn't seem to care much if you die a million times, so you keep playing despite dying so many times. Every time you get more and more focused on completing the level that you just start to be desensitized from all of this violence. You don't care you're smashing someone's face in, all you care is which target you should take out next. You keep killing and killing and killing until everything stops. Everyone's dead. You did what you came to do. You walk back to your car in pure silence and take a look at all the killings you have done. Strange thing is that you most likely don't even remember how most of these killings took place. You were so focused on finishing the level that you never actually took a moment to let it sink in. But don't feel guilty. You never did any of this, did you? The animal masks are one of the most important gameplay mechanics of Hotline Miami. You get to wear one before each level, and each mask has its own perks. They are not always helpful. I mean, sometimes they give you killing punches or lethal doors, but then there are other times where they make your controls reverse or just straight up blind you. So I guess they are not boosters, but modifiers. Each mask comes with its own name, kind of like you're impersonating other people, and it serves as a cope for the player to detach themselves from the killing. The blood may be on your hands, but the blame is on Richard, Rasmus, Tony, or Ubri, and their special ability is supposed to serve as their personalities. This is another reason why Jacket was never meant to represent the player. The fact that we wear these masks when doing Jacket missions, which we didn't sign up for, but we don't switch masks when doing bikers missions, which we did, is supposed to make the player accept the blame for bikers actions, not Jackets. So far, Hotline Miami has been a pretty chill game, and this is the stage where video game devs suddenly decide, hey, people aren't talking about our game anymore, we gotta do something. So they came up with the brilliant idea of a sequel, which completely ruined everything good about the gameplay of Hotline Miami. You know what, let's keep this video pure. Maybe someday down the road we'll visit that stinky thing too. Why, 𝚑𝚘𝚝𝚗? Just why did you have to make that?
You have pressed 6. Our support team.
Hotline Miami is what I like to call a small masterpiece, which I did not lift from the Drive book cover. On the surface it's so simple, but the more you break it down it becomes more complex. I can see why the fanbase tries to keep the game as relevant as possible. For an indie game, Hotline Miami executed many concepts so much better than the majority of AAA games out there. And to think it was made by such a small team, I think it does deserve the spotlight. I had a real good time making this video, and I hope you had as much fun watching it. I'm sorry it took so long. I was receiving some strange phone calls that I needed to take care of. Excuse me. Consider subscribing. I promise I won't leave messages on your phone asking you to kill people. Well, if it does get you to subscribe, then I guess I might just do that. Look, please. My rent is due, okay? I'm gonna receive the eviction notice any day. It's not like I have much of a choice. Well,
Thank you for choosing Hotline Miami. Feel free to call back anytime.